I'm Tony Sklar with bnetTV. We are here with BroadHop, and I'm speaking with Mr. Kishen Mangat. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. How are you, Tony?
Very well, thank you very much. Listen, this is the LTE Asia conference in Singapore. For all the people out there in bnetTV land, why don't you give us a brief overview of BroadHop and what you're doing here at the conference?
Well, BroadHop is a leader in the policy control space. We bring a platform approach that is multi-access, multi-vendor to enable operators to quickly and easily deploy new services on the network.
What makes BroadHop better than your competitors in the market space?
Well, BroadHop is really taking a much more horizontal approach to the market. We're not a end-to-end solution. We're best of breed. What that means, the platform has been architected from the ground up to be end-to-end to control the subscriber, the policy, and the charging. So control, personalization, and monetization of the subscriber service experience, which extends to LTE as well as legacy access networks like 3G, fixed, and Wi-Fi.
So is that policy across all spectrum too, SS7 diameter, whatever we want it to be?
We're primarily IP players, so we're not really working in the SS7 space. We're focused in the IP.
So let's talk about IP. Let's talk about IPv6 and how that's changed this portion of the ecosystem.
Well, IPv6 is just another protocol, and one of the things that's critical in terms of a policy platform is that it's open and extensible, as well as highly scalable. So we look at IPv6 as just another feature that can easily plug into our platform, and we have customers that are currently deploying IPv6-enabled solutions currently.
So let's talk about the deployment of LTE and some of the challenges that exist around having just a solid IP-based network in total.
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges is around the business model, and it's obviously one of the biggest opportunities as well. LTE has very unique characteristics in terms of speed, reliability, and efficiency in terms of the total cost to deploy the network. So it's really opening a whole host of new opportunities for operators, where in traditional voice and some of the more limited 3G data services are being usurped with greater options around services, whether those are mobile or even fixed and mobile converged. But within that, some of the traditional and legacy platforms to enable the services and policies are ready for a platform refresh, shall we say.
So what are some of the things that you've been talking about here at the conference that have been pretty exciting?
I think that very thing with fixed and mobile convergence. So many of the operators, they have to continue to get a return on the existing network investments that they have, and at the same time, they have LTE coming to bear. So I think what people have been really excited about when they talk to BroadHop is the fact that they can deploy a single policy platform that can cover LTE as well as their existing legacy networks in order to provide an experience to the subscriber that's unified, because let's face it, the subscriber doesn't care what network they're on, they just want the services.
So you bring up a really good point that I want to sort of draw out a little bit more. You're right, the subscriber doesn't care. You know what they care about? Consuming data at the fastest rate possible, and the more bandwidth and opportunity that they have to do that, the more that they're going to eat, the more that they're going to consume. So the network is going to have to keep up with that. Policy is obviously at the top of the game when it comes to the OTT players and roaming. And there's a sense of Wi-Fi offload that's been being discussed here at the conference a lot. It's fantastic to see the deployment of LTE networks from previous conferences, because it was just talked about. Now we're in the midst of actually doing it, and that's bringing up some new and exciting challenges.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, which is around the monetization. The consumer devices, the applications are proliferating in an extremely rapid rate, and certainly it will consume any amount of bandwidth that the operators deploy. So it's a critical question around monetization. And so the propositions that are going to market are being dictated at internet speeds. And that key integration or end-to-end capability of policy and charging together is what drives that monetization opportunity, so that operators can get a return on their investment, as well as orchestrate new business models with application providers, OTT, etc.
So there's also the idea too that as these LTE networks do get deployed, that some people are going to be moving off of their traditional broadband home systems and just stay on their carriers' LTE networks, because A, it's faster, B, it's cheaper, And 3, there are a lot of emerging areas where it's going to be brand new anyways, and that's going to be their main connection when it comes to either their primary residence or dwelling or what have you, or just even if you're a small business and you're working out of a particular, you're going to have a small cell, you're going to have some sense of carrier authenticated network as opposed to a fixed line.
Absolutely, particularly here in Asia. It's such a diverse region. You have some of the most advanced networks in Japan and some other places, as well as some emerging networks where they may even leapfrog fixed line and leverage LTE as a backhaul. What the challenge and opportunity for the service provider is orienting the service plans that they offer to the context of the user in terms of their device, the location where they're accessing, what type of service it is. So your traditional mobile data services over LTE on a smartphone or a tablet is not the same type of service proposition that an LTE operator is going to provide if it's a fixed Wi-Fi CPE or some other form of fixed CPE that is geared more to a residential context or a small medium business context. And so this is where this service velocity challenge, flexibility challenge that BroadHop's trying to help the operator solve.
That's sort of what I wanted to sort of bring out here is that you're sort of well positioned within that market space to control, well, I don't want to say control, but to be at the forefront of helping the operators maintain policy and so on, and other features that are ubiquitous to something that normally or traditionally would be fixed line and now is not going to be.
Yeah, and you can develop any type of service. I mean, with software, but I think one of the other key challenges is around TCO,
Okay.
and so again, LTE is just another network, and the platform investments really need to be leveraged. And so, adding on an LTE network, a set of LTE services to an existing or consolidating a set of applications, if you will. That's really one of the big advantages of BroadHop's platform approach.
And then finally, what are we going to see from BroadHop here in the future when it surrounds what a lot of your panel discussions have been on?
Well, one of the key trends that we're seeing is around analytics that we're also heavily investing in from a BroadHop platform perspective. And there's been a lot of talk around analytics. You have the big IT vendors that are deploying more horizontal, data warehouse-driven solutions across the operator enterprise, whereas in the policy domain, you have some very unique and specialized data that's available via the real-time session information, which is very critical to the operators in order for them to understand more about their subscribers and the services and the way those services are being used on the network in real time. That then becomes that feedback loop that drives the new propositions, the new business opportunities, and allows the operators to gain a greater ROI.
Kishen, thanks so much for taking the opportunity to speak with us here today at the LTE conference. I hope we get a chance for an update here soon in the future.
Great, thanks, Tony.
I've been speaking with BroadHop's Mr. Kishen Mangat. I am Tony Sklar here at the Asia LTE conference in Singapore with bnetTV.